probably the single most common question I get from guys is, how do I get my girlfriend back? How do I get my wife back? How do I don't want to break up with my wife. I don't want to divorce my wife. How do I get the sex back? Like, how do I get her to want to fuck me again? But the actual questioning, the reason why it's so common is because this is what these guys fixate upon. And they haven't been able to find their way. Like one of the, as again, the sorrow, the envy, the jealousy, the dreams that you have, all of those things that led up to you breaking up with that person and that person getting with someone else. Women who break up with a guy who they consider alpha, which they almost never do, but if they break up with a guy who is alpha, or that guy happens to die for some reason, that woman has a real tough time getting over him. But she doesn't have a problem getting over you because she never saw you as alpha in the first place. So people have always asked me the difference between like the war brides dynamic and the alpha widow dynamic, and don't those two conflict? No, they actually don't. If you look at like the war brides dynamic is why do women get over breakup? They ask me, why do women get over breakups faster than guys? Well, because from an evolutionary perspective, they had to, because they were taken as prizes of war. They were kill all the men folk, but take the young unspoiled virgins and add them to your tribe. So saith the Lord, right? And so what happens is they get integrated into the other tribe, and the girls and the females that didn't have a problem with Stockholm syndrome or didn't have a problem with reintegrating into another tribe, they went on, reproduced, and had more babies. The women who couldn't died. Simple as that. And so you have examples of like, remember in colonial America when Indian tribes would take a white woman as a prisoner, right? The white women didn't want to leave the tribe because they liked being where they were at. You would call it Stockholm syndrome right now, but there are literally hundreds of accounts of women who were taken as prisoners by Indian tribes during that time period, who didn't want to go back with their white colonizer. They didn't want to go back home. They wanted to stay with that tribe. Why is that? Well, because they had already reintegrated and had feelings for, and were already developed into what they were for those tribes. So that's the war brides dynamic. How does that integrate into the alpha widow dynamic? Is that if weren't alpha in the first place, she's not going to be a widow.